I spent years in jail for my love. 5 years. After 5 long, dark years, I finally stepped out of that prison. Is this real? I whispered to myself, feeling the sun warm my skin. The air was different, lighter, almost like it was welcoming me back. I closed my eyes, trying to picture Zayn's face. Would he still be waiting for me? I thought, my heart racing. His deep brown eyes, his smile, it felt like a dream. God, I miss him. I've missed him every single day. But it wasn't just about him. I couldn't shake the hope, the happiness that finally things were changing out there. They're fighting for us, for everyone who's had to hide, I reminded myself. I won't hide anymore. We won't need to hide anymore. I refuse to live in fear. I took a deep breath as I remembered my final words to Zayn. Wait for me, my love. I promise I'll come find you. Flashback. 5 years ago. The flashbulbs popped like fireworks as Mia and I stepped out of the sleek black car. An interviewer caught my eye and rushed over, microphone in hand. Elias, congratulations on your upcoming movie. Your fans are dying to know about your role. They see you as the ultimate alpha male. How do you prepare for such a powerful character? I forced a grin, the pressure mounting. Thanks. I focus on channeling that strength, you know? It's about embodying the confidence and intensity that a character demands. It's important for my fans to see me as someone they can look up to. Absolutely. We can't wait to see you in action, the interviewer said, stepping back to capture the moment with Mia and me. Look at us, the perfect couple, Mia exclaimed, adjusting her glamorous dress with a bright smile. I forced a grin, feeling the weight of the evening. Yeah, what do they call us nowadays? It couple, right? I replied, trying to keep my tone upbeat despite the heaviness in my heart. As we posed for more photos, my mind drifted back to my past. I had been married 5 times before, and each marriage ended with disappointment. My ex-wives had all wanted love and connection, but I couldn't give them what they needed. I remembered the way that they looked at me with hope in their eyes, as Mia does now, only to feel that hope fade over time. You're amazing tonight, she pulled me back from my trail of thoughts, leaning into me as the cameras flashed. I could feel the warmth of her excitement, but it felt hollow. Thanks, babe, I said. Let's do this again soon, Mia said, squeezing my arm as we posed for another photo. Need to keep the fans happy, right? Of course, I nodded, though my heart wasn't in it. I was trapped in a charade, one that grew more exhausting by the day. Once the last camera flashed, we climbed back into the car, the glamour of the night dissipating. You know, I began, glancing at Mia as the city lights blurred past, this life, it's overwhelming. Mia leaned back, sighing dramatically. Tell me about it. But, gotta keep up the image. Yeah, I said, forcing a smile, feeling the unspoken tension between us. It was a truth neither of us ever mentioned, a silent agreement about our loveless marriage. When we arrived home, I parked the car and turned to Mia. Good night, Mia. I'll see you in the morning. Good night, Elias, she replied, her smile lingering but not quite reaching her eyes. As she walked inside, I felt a familiar ache in my chest. Once she was out of sight, I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding. I climbed back into the car, desperate to escape the suffocating atmosphere of our life together. Driving to the hidden house, my heart raced with anticipation. I parked, glancing around to ensure I wasn't followed. Baby, it's me, I whispered as I approached the door. I opened it slowly, stepping inside. Elias! Zayn's voice rang out, his face lighting up as he rushed to me. I missed you so much, I said, pulling him into a tight embrace, feeling the world melt away. Missed you too, he replied, his deep brown eyes searching mine. How was the premiere? Just another night pretending to be someone I'm not, I said, brushing my fingers through his hair. But now I'm here, and that's all that matters. Zayn leaned in and our lips met in a passionate kiss, and that moment everything else faded. Let's celebrate, I whispered against his lips. Absolutely, he said, pulling me deeper into the house. We spent the night wrapped in each other's arms, laughter echoing through the walls. In those stolen hours, it felt like we were truly free, living in our secret world away from the pressures of life. About a week later, the sun was barely up when I got home. Feeling the weight of my night with Zayn pressing down on me, I thought I could slip in unnoticed, but as soon as I stepped inside, I heard a voice from the living room. Elias, we need to talk. I froze. It was Mia. Hey, Mia. I didn't think you'd be up so early, I said, trying to keep my voice casual. Cut the small talk, she snapped, crossing her arms. I know the truth, Elias, about you and that man. My heart raced. What do you mean? Drop the act, Elias. I have my ways. I saw you and him, she continued, her voice slick with venom as she flashed her phone towards me. What I saw horrified me to the core. It was a picture of me and Zayn kissing from yesterday night. But how? We were always so careful. How did this even happen? You've been sneaking around. You're cheating on me with a man. Her voice pulled me back. I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. Mia, let's not jump to conclusions here. It's not what you think. Not what I think? She laughed bitterly. Come on! You're married to me, yet you're off with him? Don't deny it. I clenched my fist, frustration bubbling up. And what about you, Mia? I know you've been sleeping around too. You think I don't know what's going on between you and that guy from your modeling agency? Her face went pale, and she opened her mouth to protest, but I cut her off. We're both cheating. Why can't we just keep things the way they are? Because, Elias, she said, her voice unnaturally calm. I wanted that too. Honestly, I too planned on keeping things the way they were, but that was when I thought you were just having a fling. But now that I know you're with a man, that changes everything, doesn't it? She finished mockingly. I felt the heat rise in my chest. Why does it matter? We're both being unfaithful. Because of the consequences, she shouted, her eyes blazing. You know where we live, Elias. Same-sex relationships are illegal here. If this gets out, you will not only lose your name, fame, and stardom, but worse things will be waiting for you. You know the legal consequence here, right? Lifetime imprisonment, or even the death penalty. Do you want that? And her reminder hit me like a moving train. Of course I knew the consequences. Why else had I been living this double life for so many years? It was the reason I had to keep my lover hidden in that house alone. The reason we couldn't be together. Why I had to marry over and over again despite my heart being with him. What do you want from me then? I asked, defeated. Mia took a step closer, her voice lowering to a whisper. I want a baby. Your baby. If you want to keep your secret safe, you need to give me a child. I blinked, taken aback. A baby? Are you serious? Absolutely, she said, her eyes narrowing. Either you give me what I want, or I will make sure your dirty little secret is out in public by the end of this week. I felt my stomach drop. The threat hung heavy in the air, a ticking time bomb. You can't be serious. Don't test me, Elias. You know I'm not bluffing, she insisted, her tone cold and calculated. I ran a hand through my hair, trying to process it all. But Mia, I can't bring a child into this mess. It's not fair to anyone, especially not the kid. She stepped back, a smug smile creeping onto her face. You know what's not fair? Having to live with a criminal. I stared at her in disbelief. I'm trying to secure my future here, she said, raising her voice again. So what's it gonna be, Elias? A baby, or do I make a call that will ruin everything you've built? You're threatening my entire life for this? I'm giving you a choice, she replied, her voice steady. Just think about it. With that, she left, leaving me with the burden of the threat she just made. As I stood there, the reality of my situation settled in. I was trapped in a loveless marriage, forced to make impossible decisions, all while trying to protect the one thing that truly mattered to me, my love for Zayn. 3 days later, I sat on the edge of the bed, my head in my hands. Zayn paced back and forth, tension clear in his every step. I can't do this anymore, Elias, he said, his voice breaking. It's already hard enough for me to see you on screen with God knows how many different women, but now she wants you to sleep with her. No, I'm sorry, but I don't think I can handle you actually being with someone else. I looked up, my chest tight with guilt. I don't want that either, honey, you know that. Then why aren't you doing something about it, he snapped, stopping to face me. I can't stand the thought of you having a child with her. It'll be like you're starting a family with someone else. With her. I stood up, walking over to him. Zayn, listen to me, I said, taking his hand in mine. I could never do that to you. I would never put you in that position. I don't want a child with Mia. I don't want a child with anyone but you. Then what are you going to do? He asked, his eyes filled with desperation. She's got you cornered, Elias. She's threatening to ruin you, to ruin us. What are we gonna do? I don't know, I admitted, feeling helpless. She has our photos, Zayn. If she shows them to the world, it's over for me, for us. You know what that means. It's not just about losing my career. It's about prison or worse for us. Zayn's grip tightened on my hands. But you can't give in to her demands. You can't bring a child into this mess, Elias. It's not fair to anyone. I know, I said, feeling the weight of the decision pressing down on me. But she's dangerous. If she exposes the truth, you know what will happen. The law here, it's not just about losing face. It's about survival. I don't know what to do. Zayn pulled away, running his hand through his hair. This isn't fair. I just want to be with you, without all this chaos hanging over our heads. I stepped closer, cupping his face in my hands. I want that too, more than anything. But Mia, she's playing a game I don't know how to win. Zayn's eyes softened as he leaned into my touch. We'll figure this out, Elias. We have to, but please, Don't let her control our future. I nodded, my heart heavy. I'll find a way, honey, I promise. I'll find a way to protect us. 2 days later, Zayn and I were still turning everything over in our heads, trying to find a way out of this mess. We were sitting together, the room filled with quiet tension, when Zayn spoke up. What if we just leave, Elias? Run away, he said softly. There are countries where people like us live freely. We could go there, start over. We could be happy. No more hiding, no more lies. I stared at him, caught off guard. Run away? I repeated, my mind racing. You mean leave everything behind? He nodded. Yes, your career, this life. It's all built on lies, Elias. You said it yourself. The situation isn't sustainable. We can't keep doing this. What if we just walk away and never look back? I leaned back, rubbing my face. Zayn, that's a huge decision. It's not that easy. Everything I've worked for is here. But what good is all of it if you're not free? Zayn pressed. What's the point if we can't be ourselves, if we can't be together? You'll always be looking over your shoulder here, worrying about what Mia will do. If we leave, we could be happy, really happy. I sighed, staring at the floor. I don't know, it's terrifying to leave everything behind, but I trailed off, looking into Zayn's eyes. Maybe you're right. Maybe this is the only way. He reached for my hand. It's not going to be easy, but I know we can do it together. I squeezed his hand. If we're going to do this, we'll do it together. Maybe running away is the only way to finally be free. 3 days later. It was all set. The tickets were booked, the apartment secured in a foreign country where we could finally live freely. We had planned everything down to the last detail. In a few days, Zayn and I were supposed to leave this mess behind and start over. A fresh start. But then the rumors started. I was scrolling through my phone when I saw it, articles popping up, small lawsuits from a few shady institutions claiming I was a negative influence. They weren't big names, but the noise was growing louder online. Comments, accusations, and suspicions. I knew exactly who was behind it. It's her, isn't it? Zayn asked, looking over my shoulder. I nodded, feeling a sick knot in my stomach. Yeah, it's Mia. I didn't think she'd actually go through with it, but she's trying to destroy me. Zayn shook his head. She's playing dirty, Elias. What are we going to do? I took a deep breath, my mind racing. I know what I have to do. You need to leave tonight, Zayn. You need to go without me. Zayn's eyes widened. What? No, we're supposed to do this together. I know, I said, feeling my chest tighten. But I need to handle this here. If I don't deal with it now, it'll only get worse. You go first, get settled. I'll join you as soon as I can, I promise. Zayn hesitated, looking torn. But what if you... I will come back to you no matter what, I interrupted, grabbing his hand. I need you safe. We've come this far, Zayn, just trust me. He stared at me, then nodded slowly. I trust you, Elias, just don't take long. I forced a smile, even though inside I felt like I was breaking apart. I won't, I'll come back, I promise. 2 days later. I thought the rumors would blow over. I assumed they were just noise, small gossip spread by Mia's pettiness, but it spiraled out of control faster than I could have imagined. What started as whispers about my personal life turned into full-blown speculation, and then people started questioning the identity of the other man. Because of my public image, this macho alpha man persona, I've been forced to keep up for years. People couldn't believe I'd ever choose to be with another man, so they started blaming him. The rumors painted him as some manipulative person who had influenced me and twisted my life. They made him the villain, and it was tearing me apart. Zayn never asked for any of this. He's never wanted the spotlight, never craved fame. That's my world, not his. And now because of me, he was being dragged into it the worst way possible. It put him in danger, serious danger. People were speculating, some even claiming they knew who the other man was. They were wrong, but how long before someone found out the truth? How long before Zayn was exposed? I couldn't let that happen. I had to send him away faster than we planned. The tickets were supposed to be for both of us, but instead, I put him on a flight alone. We barely had time to say goodbye. It killed me to let him go, but I needed him safe. That was my priority. I promised him I'd join him soon, but deep down I knew things weren't going to be that simple. The truth is, I'm tired. Tired of running, tired of hiding who I am, living two lives and constantly looking over my shoulder, pretending to be someone I'm not. And what's the point anymore? I'm losing everything anyway, my career, my freedom, and most importantly, the person I love. So I decided to do something I've been avoiding for years. I'm done hiding. I sat alone in the dimly lit living room staring at my phone. I opened the app and went live. My face filled the screen, my heart pounding in my chest. I could already see thousands of people tuning in. Comments started flooding in, fans excited to see me, people asking questions about my next project, but this wasn't about my career anymore. This was about me. I took a deep breath and began to speak. I know this might come as a shock to many of you, but I can't keep living a lie. I've been pretending for too long and I'm done. I'm gay. I've always been gay and it's time I stop hiding that. I know what this means in this country, I know the risk, but I can't keep pretending to be something I'm not, for the sake of my career, my image, or anyone else. I looked into the camera feeling the weight of everything I was about to lose. I don't know what's going to happen next, but I'm ready for it. Thank you to those who supported me all these years. I'm sorry for the lies, but this is me. I ended the live video sitting in silence. There was no turning back now. Later that evening, the news spread like wildfire. As soon as I posted the video, it went viral. By the time I next checked my phone, every media outlet had picked up the story. Famous actor Elias comes out as gay was splashed across headlines. It was all anyone could talk about. The reactions were mixed, just as I expected. Some of my fans were supportive, but they were far outweighed by the others. People who felt betrayed, angry, disgusted, hate poured in from all sides, but the worst part was the official backlash. The country we lived in, well, it's not kind to people like me. Same-sex relationships are illegal here, punishable by prison, sometimes even death. I knew that when I decided to go public, but I did it anyway. I was done hiding, no matter the cost. By the evening, things were escalating. Protests had erupted, demanding punishment. People were furious, some calling for me to be jailed immediately. The government hadn't made an official statement yet, but I knew it was coming. I could feel it. That night, I sat alone in my apartment, staring out the window, the city below buzzing with chaos. I knew what was coming, and sure enough, just after midnight, there was a knock at the door. I opened it to find 2 officers standing there, their faces blank and cold. "Elias, you're under arrest," one of them said. I didn't argue. I didn't fight. What would be the point? I knew this was going to happen the moment I hit that live button. They cuffed me, leading me out of my apartment. Cameras flashed as we stepped outside, reporters shouting questions, trying to get a reaction out of me, but I stayed silent. I had nothing more to say. As we drove through the city, I watched the lights blur past the window. My heart was pounding, but not from fear. It wasn't scared anymore. I had done what I needed to do. I had told the truth, and now I was going to face the consequences. 3 weeks later. It had been 3 weeks since the sentence came down. Life imprisonment. I knew it was coming, but hearing the words still hit me like a brick. No parole, no chance of freedom. The reality of it all settled in the moment those prison doors slammed behind me. Jail's a different world. The outside with its flashing cameras and glamorous events feels like a lifetime ago. Here there's no privacy, no escape. You sleep in a cell with iron bars, you eat food that barely qualifies as edible, and you keep your head down, hoping to avoid trouble. But the trouble is never far. I've become the subject of a lot of unwanted attention since I arrived, not just because I'm that famous actor they've all seen on screen, but because of why I'm here. My secret is no secret anymore, and in a place like this, that can be dangerous. It was a couple of days ago when things really got tense. I was in the yard keeping to myself when a group of guys approached me. I'd seen them before, hard faces, the kind you don't mess with. One of them leaned in close, a sneer on his face. "So, you're the big celebrity, huh? The one who likes boys?" I didn't say anything. I knew better than to react. "Bet you're missing your boyfriend now, aren't you?" another one said, and they all laughed. Then one of them, the biggest one, got right in my face. "Maybe we'll show you what it's like. Maybe we'll give you something you'll enjoy." My stomach dropped, but I forced myself to stay calm, not to let them see how scared I was. Another guy piped up laughing. "Nah, he'd probably like it too much, ain't that right?" The group burst into laughter again, making a mockery of the whole thing. They thought it was hilarious, thinking I'd somehow enjoy being molested. I just stood there, my fists clenched, every muscle in my body screaming to fight back, but I couldn't. That's how you get yourself killed in here. They finally left, laughing as they walked away, but the fear they left behind stayed with me. I knew this wasn't over. They were testing me, seeing how far they could push. That night, lying on my cot, I felt more alone and vulnerable than ever. I faced a lot to get here, and now I have to survive this. But no matter how dark it gets, I won't regret coming out, even if it costs me everything. 6 months later. It's been about 6 months since I came to this hellhole, and things have only gotten worse. The guards are always looking for an excuse to take out their frustrations on us. Today, one of them, a heavyset guy with a nasty temper, found his reason. I was late getting back to my cell after lunch, just a couple of minutes, and that was enough for him to lose it. He stormed over and threw me against the wall, his fist coming down hard. I could barely keep my footing as he cursed under his breath, hitting me over and over. "You think you're special, huh? Think you're some hero?" I didn't respond. What could I say? He was just looking for a reason. You've caused so much trouble, you know that? He spat, pausing to catch his breath. Ever since your little live confession, people have been coming out of the woodwork. Protests, rallies, people demanding rights for your kind. It's chaos out there. You've made our job 10 times harder. My ribs were burning, my body aching from the blows, but his words cut through the pain. For the first time I heard it, the real impact of what I'd done. People were fighting. They were speaking out. This whole mess, this nightmare, it wasn't for nothing. Every damn day more of you come out, demanding to be treated like the rest of us, the officer grumbled, his voice laced with frustration. And now we have to deal with it because of you. As he stormed off, leaving me slumped on the cold floor, I let his words sink in. It wasn't just about me anymore. My coming out had sparked something bigger. People, too, were tired of hiding. They were fighting back, protesting, rallying, and for the first time since I stepped into this prison, I felt a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, change was coming. 3 years later. It's been 3 years now, 3 long years since I came out, since my whole world turned upside down. But today, there's something in the air, something I haven't felt in a long time. Hope. Today is the first hearing in court about the new changes people have been demanding. It's been a slow burn, but people haven't given up. The protests haven't stopped, and the pressure on the government keeps building. They're finally being forced to listen. As I sit in my cell waiting for the news, I can't help but think about how far we've come. When I first stepped into this prison, I thought I'd die here. I thought I was alone in this fight, but I wasn't. Thousands of people have been out there fighting, demanding change, and today, we'll see if those demands have a chance of being heard in court. I don't know what'll happen, but for the first time in years, I feel like we're moving in the right direction. There's still so much on the line, my freedom, our rights, the future for people like me, but we've come too far to stop now. As I'm lost in my thoughts, one of the other inmates walks over. He's an older guy, been in here longer than I have. We never talked much, but today he seems different. Nervous almost. I hear today's the big day, he says, leaning against the wall. The court hearing, right? Yeah, I nod. First step, I guess. He's quiet for a second, and then looks at me with something I haven't seen from him before. Genuine concern. I hope it goes well for you. For all of us, really. I'm surprised. I didn't think anyone in here cared about what was happening outside these walls. You know, he starts, I got a son. We don't talk about it, but I've always wondered. I think he might be one of you. Never said anything, and we never touched the subject, but I see things, feel things, you know? I nod, understanding the unspoken weight of that. I just want him to be able to live, he says quietly. To be free, not like this. He gestures around the prison. Not in fear. His words hit me hard. It's not just my fight anymore. It's for people like his son, for everyone who's been forced to live in fear, hiding who they really are. Thanks, I say, not knowing what else to say. I hope for that too. We sit in silence for a while, both of us lost in our own thoughts. Today's the first hearing, the first real step toward change, and no matter what happens, I know this fight isn't just about me. It's about all of us. A year later. It's been a year now, a whole year of hearings, protests, and waiting. None of this has been easy. Every time we think we're getting closer, something slows us down, but the fight hasn't stopped. I'm still here, still holding on, because what else can I do? Today, there's another hearing. Maybe this one will be the breakthrough we need. Maybe this is the moment when things finally start to shift. I keep telling myself that because without hope, what's left? I think about all the people out there still pushing for change, the ones who've shown up for every rally, every protest, risking their own safety to demand a better future. It's because of them I can't give up now. It hasn't been easy. There's so much resistance. The government isn't making this smooth, and sometimes it feels like we're moving in circles, but even with all the setbacks, we've come too far to stop. Too many people are counting on this. Too many lives hang in the balance. I think about Zayn sometimes. Wonder where he is, what he's doing. I hope he's safe, living the life we dreamed of. I told him I'd come back to him, and I still believe I will, but first, we need to win this. As I get ready for the day, I tell myself that maybe this hearing will be it. Maybe this is one that changes everything. I can't give up now. I won't. 5 months later. It finally happened. The government gave in. Same-sex relationships, though not fully legalized, were no longer punishable by law. We were granted the freedom to express ourselves, to live without fear of being punished for who we are. It might seem like a small step to some, but for those of us who have been fighting, we know how huge this is. It's the beginning of something bigger, something we've waited for all our lives. And finally, I was freed of all charges. After everything, I was a free man again, but this time, I was free in the truest sense of the word. No more hiding, no more pretending. As I stepped out of the jail, I felt the sun on my face, fresh air filling my lungs. It was a strange feeling, freedom. The weight I'd been carrying for so long seemed to lift just a little, but there was still something missing. Zayn. I hadn't seen him in years, but I thought of him every day. I remembered the last promise I made to him. I'll come back for you no matter what, I'll come back. And now, standing outside these prison walls, I knew I could finally keep that promise. Flashback end. A little while later. As I walked out of the jail, the sun shone brightly, and I took a moment to soak it all in. The air felt fresh and alive. I couldn't wait to go back to the hidden house Zayn and I once shared, rest and then catch the next flight to where he was, imagining the moment we'd be together. But then, as I stepped further into the world, my heart skipped a beat. There, right in front of me, was Zayn. He stood there. He looked just as I remembered, with a smile that lit up my entire being. It felt surreal. I rushed toward him, and without thinking, I wrapped my arms around him. "What are you doing here?" I asked, feeling a mix of joy and disbelief. Zayn hugged me tighter and laughed. "You were here. Where else would I be? I came for you." His voice was warm, and I could feel the love radiating between us. He pulled back slightly and looked at me with the familiar spark in his eyes. "But wait, I have something to show you." Curiosity bubbled inside me as Zayn took my hand, leading me down the street. I followed him, my heart racing with anticipation. What could he possibly want to show me? As we turned the corner, I couldn't believe my eyes. There was a parade happening, a celebration of our new freedom. People filled the streets waving colorful flags, and music played in the background. My heart soared as I realized they were celebrating not just for themselves, but for everyone who fought for love and acceptance. And then I saw it. On some of the posters were my photos, my face. They had my picture up as one of the people who started this fight. I felt tears well up in my eyes. "I can't believe this," I whispered, overwhelmed. Zayn squeezed my hand, grinning widely. "This is everything we dreamt of, Elias. We did this together." His voice was filled with pride, and I felt my heart swell with hope. As we stood there surrounded by the vibrant energy of the crowd, I realized this was just the beginning. We were part of something much bigger. I leaned in closer, and in that moment, everything felt right. Zayn's lips met mine in a soft, passionate kiss, sealing our love and the promise of a future we could finally share together. The world around us faded away as we embraced, knowing that we had a lifetime of happiness ahead. Conclusion. Soon after, I found out that Zayn had been fighting for us all along. He was one of the main voices in the movement, standing up for love when I couldn't. I divorced Mia, finally free from that loveless marriage. Now we decided to leave for the place we had once dreamed of escaping to. Even though things had improved, there was still too much history here for me to feel completely at peace. All I wanted was to spend my days with Zayn, far away from the past. Together we could finally build a life filled with love and happiness, just like we'd always wanted. The end. Did you struggle with publicly accepting your identity as well? Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing to become part of our Rainbow Force. And stay wholesome.